it comes to creating a character for a tabletop game, most people seem to stumble when it comes to backstory and character history. While some systems have a backstory option on the character sheet, or have backstory bonuses that provide skills or abilities for a character, oftentimes these types of backstory bonuses are merely designed to show the character's job or position in society. However, this does not explain how or why a character is who they are. Therefore, I've put together this little discussion on character backstories, in order to help players both new and old create characters who are more fully developed for their next adventure. First of all, there are 5 basic hero archetypes for your backstory motivation. While these do not cover every possibility, these are the most common backstories you will come across while creating a new character, and are where you should begin while designing a new character. Number 1, Revenge. This is the most common archetype, especially for dark, edgy heroes. It works really well when a major villain can be responsible for the death or destruction of someone's home or family, especially if that villain can also be the final boss of a module or campaign. However, this can be used to add a long-term goal for a hero, especially if they don't know who or where the killer is, and that information could be discovered on the course of the quest, leading to further adventures. Alternatively, overarching concepts such as "a dragon raised my town, now I shall slay all dragons" works pretty well too as a more generic motivator, allowing the character to have a perceived enemy to hunt down and fight, regardless of the specific enemy that wronged him or her in the past. These types of quick motivations work really well in a fantasy or sci-fi setting, and if you are going to go for this type of backstory, be sure to talk with your DM to see if they could set up that villain as an antagonist, or at least put clues to where that villain might be in the course of the adventure. Number 2, Greed. Oftentimes, many players will have their character's goal be to gather money, or rare loot, or magical items. Whether someone is a mercenary or a treasure hunter, this is an easy motivation to work with, and while it doesn't add much in terms of character story, it does give good reason to take a job or explore a dungeon. If the character is proactive enough, they can get less motivated characters to take on certain quests or do side exploration that they might normally not do. Adding to this, the loss of treasure can also be a character motivator to regain that wealth or retrieve an item that was taken by a villain. After all, if the thief takes your rare loot, you will need to hunt them down and get it back. In addition to that, seeking treasures and money can have different reasons. While personal greed is a simple motivation, more complex things, such as providing the money to your family, collecting treasures for museums, or reclaiming a family legacy, make for some interesting alternatives when doing a greed-based character. The bottom line is, greed makes for some interesting chases and some exciting quests. Number 3, Honor. This is the common choice for knights and those born into warrior societies. Doing something because honor demands it allows your hero to take on quests or tasks without any extra justification. More than that, a leader with a honor streak will push the party to take on missions or make moral choices that they might not otherwise follow. Honor might seem like a simple motivation, but the various systems of honor can add more complexity to a hero and allow them to be more than just your typical "for justice" hero. This includes internal honor, external honor, seeking status in society, or reclaiming lost status. Your choice can have a big impact on how your character behaves, and can also give the DM a little extra to add into the overarching story. Number 4, Divine Purpose. This is the common backstory for a cleric or a paladin, but can be used with nearly any class. This is when the gods have deemed you must do something for a greater purpose. This is when the leadership of a temple tells you to go forth and spread the word. This is when a prophecy has deemed that you shall do something great. A generally simple and basic backstory that can work in almost any situation for the sake of doing good in the world. However, this does not need to be limited to just holy heroes, because options like being born into a theocracy, being a demigod, or being sent off on a holy quest by royalty can also fill in those types of gaps. After all, finding the Holy Grail in the Legend of King Arthur would definitely fall under the divine purpose category, while the Knights of the Round Table are probably not really clerics or anything. The key aspect with this type of backstory is to be a little more creative with it. While being told to do something by the gods is nice, having a god maybe give you some sort of weird sign that is unclear is significantly more interesting. Having a prophecy that's very vague becomes a lot more interesting rather than "you shall find the great evil and slay him." When creating a divine purpose character, be sure to tell your DM if you are driven by a dream, prophecy, or anything else wherein the DM should probably be aware and push forward that narrative when necessary. Number 5. Knowledge. This is mostly the realm of spellcasters, but others who have an interest in history or science will typically fall into this category. The search for knowledge does not need to be just based on class. An archaeologist can be just about any class. A researcher from a university or religious order can be of nearly any class. The key aspect of this backstory is wanting to explore new places, find magical or important items, and learn from those experiences, whether this is for your own sake or for the sake of an organization such as a museum, university, or church. These types of characters often require a little more roleplay, as they will be more mindful of history, nature, magic, etc., than the average party member, and will want to study the various relics the party comes across. This can be a good way to have your character learn where to go next in the story, or even solve mysteries and side story quests that other players cannot do due to their lack of an inquisitive nature. While these are the most basic versions of the hero backstory, there is quite a bit that can be done in order to make your hero more complex than "I want revenge," "gold is pretty," or "my god demands it." Here's a few tips to help you develop the backstory for your hero and make them more interesting, and thus a bigger part of what is going on in the story. Even characters who begin with a basic backstory can always expand it as the adventure continues. So don't think that this only applies to brand new heroes. Number 1. Treat your character like a person. No one woke up one day as a druid who seeks out new types of plants. That druid had to train somewhere, gain an interest in botany, and ready themselves for a long journey. By thinking of your hero as a person, you can put things together in the backstory of your character. Perhaps the druid was raised in an isolated village where everyone is a druid, and ever since the druid was young, he has been fascinated by exotic species of plants. Everyone's life is a journey to get where they are in the moment. Developing a short journey for a hero will make the character feel more like a person than an archetype. Number 2. How or why are you at the starting point? Oftentimes, adventures will begin in a specific city or region. While it isn't impossible for a character to have grown up in that region, oftentimes it will be unlikely that all heroes are from that region. Did your bard travel from town to reach this place? Did your fighter come to town looking for work? Did your barbarian escape capture and wind up in an unfamiliar place? The story before a story can be interesting, and no matter the setting, everyone had to get to the starting point somehow. This may tie into the basic backstory of the hero, or it could be a side story that has nothing to do with the backstory of a hero. It is a good idea to talk with your DM about where a story begins and how your hero ended up there. It may also be a good idea to talk with other players about their ideas for how their hero ended up at the same town, which brings me to my next point. Number 3. Colluding with other players. There's no rule that says players can't have characters that know each other prior to the mission. Making characters who are longtime friends, siblings, or even friendly rivals could make an adventure more exciting. It also might be a good idea to not have too many characters with the same motivation. On the other hand, having two heroes that have been wronged by the same enemy allows them to work together for revenge. Also, it helps those who play more quiet heroes to still be part of the party during the roleplay segments. After all, it isn't uncommon for a quiet hero to have a talkative sidekick in various forms of storytelling. Make use of the other players to try to make your character and their characters the best they can be. Number 4. Mix and match the basic options. There are plenty of examples of fictitious characters who could be placed in several of the basic backstory archetypes. Harry Potter searches for knowledge of the wizarding world, but also has a divine purpose due to the prophecy, and later on, seeks revenge for those who were killed by Voldemort. Jason from Mythology has greed as he seeks the Golden Fleece, honor as he is trying to earn status as a king, and divine purpose as he has guidance from the gods. Finally, Robin Hood is led by greed, pushing him to rob the rich and give to the poor. Honor, as he seeks to regain land and titles that were lost, and revenge against those who are oppressing the weak. There are many more examples, and adding a little extra motivation allows your hero to take on an adventure for different reasons. Number 5. Grow with the story. No matter how your character got to where they began, by the end of a long adventure, they should have changed. Whether this was due to achieving a goal and seeking out a new goal, or if the actions of other characters changed your character's point of view. My character, Lyle Trademaker, began looking at the party as his vassals, and was only motivated by wealth. By the end of Storm King's Thunder, he sees the party as his friends, and realizes there's more to life than money. Sometimes aspects of a character come out as the story continues. Failing rolls might mean that your character is clumsy. Using wrong elements against monsters might mean that your spellcaster is rash when making decisions. Your interaction with others and the way a game unfolds will alter your hero, and you should let that happen. No person stays the same forever, and the incredible events that occur in a tabletop game would obviously have an impact on your hero. Sometimes this can be positive, like your character learning how to open up emotionally to others, and other times it can be negative, such as the death of a character causing your hero to be much more withdrawn and confrontational. How you choose to play your character, and how do you allow the unfolding events of an adventure to affect your character are always going to be up to you. But be aware, people change, characters change, and that's part of the fun of having a big adventure. There's no single way to develop your hero's backstory, but the smallest amount of effort will really change how your character is viewed by others. Veteran players and DMs always appreciate even a little bit of effort put into backstory, because it makes your character feel like more than just their class. It will take time to learn these skills, and while developing your character, never feel embarrassed to ask someone for help, whether it's another player, the DM, or even someone online. I'll tell you right now, from personal experience, the more real your character feels, the more fun you'll have while playing. So give it a shot, and try to make your character the best character they can be. I hope this guide has been helpful to you, and I hope it enhances your tabletop gaming experience. If there is a topic you would like me to explore in the world of tabletop gaming and character development, by all means, let me know in the comments. Next time, I'll be taking a look at character personality and how to make the most out of the backstory you developed. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you at the tavern.